Welcome back to Range Anxiety TV. Today we're on the dyno. We haven't done one for a little while and people are saying, Martin, I'm sick of you sitting in your office. Why? Should get more of a close-up of my head. I suppose that isn't a great thing. But today, we've got one of my all-time little favourites. Yes, sirree. It's not an EV. It's a little Toyota 86. Early girl, this one. It's an MY13. I did have such a thing myself in 13, and I really enjoyed it. I used to race mine, and I put a mechanical LSD in it for OS Geek and LSD. I put an OS Geek and super single plate clutch in it, coilovers, big brake package, because the brakes are pretty shit on them actually, and made about 140 kilowatts at the wheels. It was a legend. It did some good lap times. I hill climbed it, and overall it was a pretty good little thing. But how are these cars faring 12 years down the track? They're getting a bit long in the tooth now. But what that means is they're getting very cheap too. So, you know, they're quite affordable little cars. The little FA20 2-litre rated at 147 kilowatts certainly is a breathless little bugger. But with some good mods and some good setup, you can make them rev like a little chainsaw. And I pull the limiters out to about 8,000 on them and pray to God that the rods stay in the block, which they have pretty much seem to for me, unless of course they're turbocharged, which tends to make them occasionally with the little offset rod makes a scream for freedom. But this one here today has just got some unequal length headers on it, and it's in for a custom tune with EcuTech race ROM, so we can add flat foot shift and launch control and all those cool little auto blip, boom boom on the downshift, all those cool little things. So, and multi-mapping. So let's see what we can get out of this car. Stock catback, stock air intake, unequal length headers only, custom tune on the dyno. Let's run it up and see what happens. That was an exciting little run, wasn't it? They sound good, even with the unequals, which probably aren't the best for efficiency. That gives them that boxer rumble. And we all know how important the boxer rumble is. It's about as important as the Space Wizard wand is to my general just mental well-being over the day. Now let's have a look what we had. We had 121 kilowatts at the wheel stock. Reasonable for a 147 kilowatt rated motor, I suppose. Tuned up to 134.9, or let's just round it up to 135 kilowatts at the wheel. So as a percentage, that's a pretty darn good gain. Where does most of the power come from? Well, standard. They're very, very rich in the fuel mixture. So we get that to a more sort of acceptable, combustible point. So we're using less fuel and making more power. We add a little bit of ignition timing, and we swing the camshaft timing around differently with the VVTi. Notably, all of these cars, we can sort of flatten out that torque hump. The torque dip is what these engines are well known for. People say, I can tune the torque dip out. Well, you can't. You can help it out a little bit, like we did here, but you can't eliminate it altogether. Why? Because it's a physical thing determined by the inlet manifold design and the engine design, and you can't fix hardware with software. Well, not normally. So, overall, a good little package. This thing should be reliable as the day is long. I extend the rev limit a little, as you can see up the end there. The red line stops after the blue line, which is just, you don't want to be hitting, if you're mid-corner on the track, you don't want to be bouncing the limiter in second when you can just give it that couple of hundred extra RPM for a second or so. Pretty much bouncing the limiter is worse for the engine than just extending the revs a couple of hundred RPM, in my opinion anyway, but obviously don't sit up there all day. We've also put some E85 mapping into this thing on maps 3 and 4, but we haven't got to test that today. That'll be when the car comes back with a full tank of E85. We'll give that a run, but expect that 134.9 to go to about 140, 141 at the tyres. So overall, our range anxiety rating on these cars is a good little hack. A good handling, balanced little car, something you can flog around the track, or even if you're just starting out in cars, I give these, I'm going to get some arguments about this, I give them a 7 out of 10, which is a pretty good Martin score as far as Martin scores go. You know, like, what's something that doesn't get a good Martin score? I don't know, like a cherry motor. You know, I get to give that about a 2. But anyway, thank you for watching Range Anxiety. I hope you can get a sample in one of these cars if you've never driven one, because value for money, bang for buck, you probably won't see anything too much better.